You know, your credit report, it's basically your financial story. But what happens when that story is telling a lie about you? There's this whole hidden world of errors lurking in these reports, and they can secretly cost you an absolute fortune. So let's get right into it.
Okay, just look at this number, 40 million. To put that into perspective, that's more people than the entire population of California. A huge study from the Federal Trade Commission found that an estimated 40 million Americans have a mistake on at least one of their credit reports. That's wild. It's basically 1 out of every 5 people.
So right off the bat, we know this isn't some tiny niche problem that only affects a few unlucky folks. Nope, this is massive. Which leads to the really important question, right? Could you be one of them and not even have a clue?
All right, so what exactly is a credit report? The easiest way to think about it is like your financial resume. It's this super detailed summary of your whole financial life. And here's the thing, it's not just for getting a loan anymore. We're talking lenders, landlords, insurance companies, heck, even some potential employers are looking at this stuff to make big decisions about you.
So you gotta wonder, where are all these mistakes even coming from? Well, they usually boil down to 3 main culprits. You've got your simple slip-ups by the credit bureaus themselves, then there's incorrect info sent in by lenders, and then there's the really scary one, identity theft.
You know, it's actually kind of crazy how something as simple as having a similar name can create total chaos. It's called a mixed file. Basically, the credit bureau's computer sees, say, 2 Frank Smiths at the same address and just smushes their information together, even if they have totally different social security numbers. There was this real case where a guy named Frank was trying to refinance his mortgage and he kept getting denied. Why? Because his son's late payments were showing up on his report and just destroying his score. And it's not just mixed files. Oh no, the list of possible errors goes on and on. It could be a simple typo, a bill you totally paid off that somehow got sent to collections by mistake, or those fraudulent accounts a thief opened in your name. And get this, even old negative stuff that's legally supposed to vanish after 7 years can just hang around, unfairly dragging down your record.
So you see, these are not just little typos or annoying clerical errors. We're talking about a single mistake that can set off this chain reaction of real-world financial pain. It can cost you thousands of dollars and literally shut doors to huge opportunities. Let's talk about the actual human cost here.
Just listen to this story about a woman named Tammy from a Consumers Union report. She said, "I have been denied job after job because of my credit score. This is very serious to me. I have been out of work for 7 months now." Wow, think about that. She was trapped in this cycle of unemployment, not because she wasn't qualified, but because of a mistake on a report.
Okay, let's talk about the money, the cold, hard cash. Just one mistake, let's say a payment that's incorrectly marked as late, can sink your credit score by 100 points. 100! Now, if you're getting a typical 30-year mortgage, that kind of drop could mean you end up paying, wait for it, over $25,000 extra in interest for the exact same house. That's just mind-blowing.
And that's the domino effect we were talking about. It's never just one thing, is it? A single error means higher interest rates on pretty much everything. Car loans, credit cards, you name it. It can get you turned down for a job, rejected for an apartment rental. You might even fail those online identity checks. It really does touch almost every single part of our modern lives.
So right about now, you're probably thinking, okay, this is bad, but if I find a mistake, I'll just call them up and get it fixed. Simple, right? Well, unfortunately, it is almost never that simple. So many people get stuck in this incredibly frustrating, automated nightmare that feels like it was built to help the big companies, not you.
All right, so check this out. This is the really maddening part of the whole system. You do all the work, you find the error, you gather your proof, you write a super detailed letter explaining everything, and then what happens? A computer system, this thing called e-Oscar, it scans your letter and basically boils down your entire complex situation into a single generic 2-digit code. A code! Then, that code gets zapped over to the very company that messed up in the first place. They just check their own computer, which of course still has the error, and they report back, nope, our info is correct. The so-called investigation is just one computer talking to another. It's absurd.
And this story from a guy named Greg it's something that happens all the time. He did everything he was supposed to do, but the robot system just reconfirmed the original mistake. And then the credit bureau was like, okay, case closed. It's this backward system where all the pressure, all the burden of proof gets dumped right on you, the person who didn't even make the mistake to begin with.
Okay, I know. That was a lot of bad news. It sounds pretty hopeless, but here's the turn. Here's the good news. You are not powerless in this fight. The system is definitely flawed, but you have powerful legal rights on your side, all thanks to a huge federal law that was passed way back in 1970.
This is the big one. It's called the Fair Credit Reporting Act, or FCRA for short. Seriously, remember that name. This law is your #1 weapon. It was created for one specific reason, to protect you, the consumer, and to make sure the information these agencies are collecting and selling about you is actually accurate, fair, and kept private. So, what does this law actually do for you? Well, under the FCRA, you have some major rights. First, you have the right to get a free copy of your credit report from each of the big bureaus every single year. You have the right to dispute anything you think is wrong. And here's the kicker, the most important part. The law is super clear that if information can't be verified, it has to be deleted. Period. The burden of proof is on them to prove it's correct, not on you to prove it's wrong.
Okay, so knowing your rights, that's step one. That's the foundation. But now we got to turn that knowledge into action, right? So we've broken it down into a really simple 3-step plan to help you take back control, hunt down any errors, and get them fixed for good. It really is this simple. 3 words: request, review, and dispute. That's it. Think of it like an annual checkup for your financial health. So let's dive into exactly what to do, starting with step 1.
First things first, you gotta request your reports. And you have to go to one specific place, annualcreditreport.com. I'm gonna say that again, annualcreditreport.com. This is the only official site that's mandated by the government for you to get your free reports from the big 3. That's Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Be careful, because there are a ton of lookalike sites out there trying to sell you stuff you don't need.
All right, step 2, review. Once you have those reports in hand, it's time to put on your detective hat. Go through them with a fine-tooth comb. Look for the simple stuff first, like a misspelled name or an old address. Then, look for bigger things. Any accounts you don't recognize? That's a huge red flag for a mixed file or even identity theft. And double-check that loans you've paid off are actually marked as paid, not still showing up as delinquent.
Okay, and if you find something wrong, we move to step 3, dispute. And here's the key. Do it in writing. Send a formal letter to each credit bureau that's showing the mistake. It's also super smart to send a copy of that letter to the company that reported the wrong info in the first place. You know, the bank or lender. And here's a pro tip for you. Send all your letters using certified mail with a return receipt requested. That way, you have a paper trail that proves they got it. Now, what happens if you do all this? You follow all the steps, and they still refuse to fix the mistake? Well, you're not out of options. You have one more heavy hitter in your corner, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or the CFPB. You can go right to their website and file a formal complaint. They'll take your complaint, forward it to the company, and they will work to make sure you get a real response.
When you boil it all down, your credit report is the financial story that's being told about you to the entire world. It literally determines what doors open for you and what prices you'll pay. So I guess the only question left to ask is, are you absolutely sure it's telling the right story about you? Because now you know exactly what to do to find out. And if you have to rewrite it yourself.